people are concerned about the virus or just don't have the money to race anymore or whatever. But actually, so far, pretty much the opposite seems to have been the case. And if anything, the numbers are a little bit better than expected. So that's really, really good to see. RLM Racing, the sponsor, of course. You can see their logo on the front of the Bridgewater and Taunton College Motorsport car of Josh Smith. As the green flag is now waved.
Martin Brooks is stalled. Now, can he get away before everybody else? He can, so he can regain his front row starting position. So looks like we fired pretty quickly there. Then we got the Sports 1000 cars, sponsored by ZAMP helmets behind the two spires on the front row of Richard Morris and Ryan Young. Of course, it was Danny Andrew that led early on, wasn't it? He is back there, started in third position after problems in the Mattel. And he starts there alongside Jonathan McGill, who qualified well ahead of newcomer Victor Newman, goes off fifth. And watch out if he's there, Joe Locke from the back of the grid again.
Yeah, he went pretty well, didn't he, in the first race. He came through to, fourth within the Sports 1000 cars, behind Richard Morris, Ryan Yarrow and Victor Newman, with Jonathan McGill fifth, Phil Hutchins sixth earlier on. But it'll be down to Richard and Ryan, really, to sort of control how much of a gap they give themselves. It should be about the equivalent of 3 rows worth of cars, I think, that they give themselves.
It was a bit larger than that previously, wasn't it? It was probably the sensible thing to do, to be honest. It looked like there was one Bikesports car on the back of their grid, so there may be one reserve that's got a go, because there's one car just behind Dominic Landon down.
There was a few non-finishes earlier on, wasn't there? About 5 DNFs, Michael Roots, Norman Lightfoot, Ian Charles, Carloston and Danny Andrews. So it's Danny Andrews there.
It looks like it was 10, James Barwell, who should have qualified further up. So he's
that's a shared car, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So that.
So we'll think it was James Barwell in the first race and Tony Barwell in this one. But,
there's Joe Locke, by the way, so he's back out. As is car number 5, Michael Roots, who we've had issues earlier on.
Yeah, big mate of Scott Mattel, I think, from karting days. But anyway, safety car lights out, which means that it's all going well. We should get the race underway for 20 minutes of the Snetterton 200 circuit. There's gathering pace as they go through those. There you can see Morris and Yarrow holding back a little bit, not an awful lot. And the revs rise and the lights go out and the race gets underway then. Fantastic exciting sound these cars make as they head up towards the first corner. Charles Hall's made a good start trying to go around the outside of Martin Brooks there, the race warm winner, but it's Josh Smith in the lead as they head out of Riches up towards Wilson Hairpin for the first time. So it's Hall second, Brooks third. We've got one that is just starting from the pit lane as well. I can tell you almost a bit of a brush there between Julian Griffiths and the number 91 car there of Mike Chen.
Just like the earlier race, a really strong start from Charles Hall, gaining 2 positions around the outside at Ritchie's. Just hasn't got the straight line speed though, and Martin Brooks swoops around the outside into Brundle to get second position. So he can go after Josh Smith. Saw Spire run out of fuel in the earlier race. Charles Hall just limping home, and now he's under pressure from Scott Mattel, who looks up the inside and he gets there, and he's gone through already, I think. So there's 2 places gained by Charles Hall, the former single-seater racer. He's dropped down there into 4th position where he started again. So good start, but passed pretty quickly.
End of the first lap then. Josh Smith leading. Martin Brooks is second. 3rd place goes the way of Scott Mattel, 4th Charles Hall. They make their way into Riches for the second time in this race.
Good start from Alistair Smart. He's got himself there up into 5th place, but was under a lot of pressure from Julian Griffith going across the line. Meanwhile, in the Sports 1000s, it's Ryan Yarrow, who had a very small margin over Richard Morris. Car goes wide there. That's 44 of Andrew Kimpton in the ex-Joe Locke Radical PR6, and he loses a position, I think, there, quite possibly to Richard Wells. Leaders, though, have spread themselves out somewhat. There's Griffiths in 5th now, so we've got ahead of Alistair Smart. Then you've got Michael Chen in 7th. 8th now for Richard Wells, who passed Andrew Kimpton. And Doug Carter now ahead of David Graham David Graham, who raced the Dodge Viper last year, now with lots more downforce in this Radical PR6.
Different type of car. So there is the full car of Barry Liversidge there. It's on his way from Holman towards the long right-hander at Coram Curve, chasing after number 8, David Graham. Here are the leaders though. There's Martin Brooks in second place, Scott Mittal third. Mittal, as we said, having switched up a class from Class C to Class A this year, because he was always a bit frustrated he wasn't in the thick of the overall championship last year. Although he did get overall race wins, he was scoring points within Class C rather than against the drivers he was really battling with on track from Classes A and B. So he's got the chance to go for an outright championship this year. Of course, he was second in race 1.
Danny Andrews got past Richard Morris for second in the Sports 1000 class. So I wonder if we can look back to the Sports 1000 class during this race. 54, Ryan Yarrow leading that at the moment, but it's very close between him, Andrew and Morris. They're well in the thick of the Bikesports cars there. So we're looking for the silver Spire and the blue Mattel in the background of shot. With the sort of higher roll cages. We're not going to see them, unfortunately. There's Josh Smith, though, leading the race, pulling away from Martin Brooks. But a good battle in the S1000 category by the looks of things, Ian, between those three contenders. Ryan Yarrow, only in his second season of car racing, going really well this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Less than a second between those three, but just at the moment, looking at the overall battle, and the first 4 cars have gone through fairly well spread out now. Josh Smith, number 11, 99 Martin Brooks, 27 Scott Mittal, 77 Charles Hall, and it's 7 Julian Griffiths. And then the rest of them flying by the start and finish line. There goes Andrew Kimpton, number 44, in the ex-Joe Locke car. I think it's just going through Murray's now, isn't it, the battle? In fact, there is the lead battle in the Sports 1000s, just flushing through shot there on its way up towards Rich's corner.
Ryan Yarrow's got away somewhat, a couple of seconds ahead of Danny Andrew, quite possibly trying to get through the traffic. He's got past Robert Gilman, so Richard Morris and Victor Newman together. Here we go then. There is Newman, car 67, 4th in this category, and it'll be the winner of the Sports 1000 category we get to speak to at the end of this race, Ian. So I'm sure they have plenty to talk about with their busy race for getting past the Bikesports cars and then battling among themselves. But there's Yarrow, this good gap over Danny Andrew, and race 1 winner Richard Morris has got work to do there in third.
He has, but he had work to do in the first race as well, didn't he? So he'll be used to it, I suspect. He's got the Mattel to get through, and then he's got to catch and pass Ryan Yarrow. He's a bit further up the road, and they've got one of the Bikesports cars between them as well to negotiate. There is Yarrow, number 54, and as you say, still a relative newcomer into the circuit racing. 30 years of age, from Rochdale, an electrical design engineer by occupation. It's actually his second Spire. He sold his first one to Tom Johnston. He did a lot of karting for about 10 years from the age of 8. Then he, his own words, this, discovered women and booze, and he didn't start racing again until he was 28 in 2018.
Going away from Danny Andrew, the gap now, 2.4 seconds. Andrew still under pressure from Richard Morris, who's put a car between himself and 67 there. Victor Newman in the second of the Mattel, so 2 Spires and 2 Mattels at the front of the Sports 1000 grid. As they make their way down there, you can see the gap between 54 Yarrow and 27 Andrew. And lots of play for Richard Morris, the former Formula Fordster, in third place. Yeah, did some racing down at Castle Combe in the Class B, the championship there, and also in the National Championship as well in an older car. Primarily he's did racing. But there he is in that Spire, new for this season, GT320S model, the latest to come out of Paul Nightingale's workshop. Yeah, he was saying to me this morning it's very much refining now, this car that's been worked on for so many years in this championship. Really have been the class of the field, haven't they, for the last decade? Yeah, they have a few championship titles under the belt. The Mattels have come back. Obviously last year Christopher Westmail took a win for the Mattel mark. Good to see him moving up to British GT this year, showing the progress of drivers from the 750 Motor Club, going well in testing, racing a McLaren. So good luck to him in a couple of weeks at Oulton Park.
Yeah, and he is here this weekend as well, so it's good to quickly say hello to him. Had it this morning. Anyway, here they come down the Bentley Straight. There is 27, Danny Andrew. His blue car stands out quite nicely, doesn't it? He's not very far ahead of Richard Morris, but I don't think Morris is any closer than he was on the previous lap, really. I don't sense that he's made inroads. I do just wonder if maybe he's thinking about looking after his tyres a little bit in the first part of the race, to see if he can go on strongly in the later part of the race. Maybe gambling, particularly that Yarrow might have gone out of the blocks a little bit quickly and got the best out of his at an early stage, and they fall off a little bit.
Well, we saw Yarrow drop away, didn't we, in the earlier race, where he had a big old gap to Richard Morris after Morris had a spin, but Morris really closed him down in those last few laps. Here, though, Morris right underneath the car of Danny Andrew. Andrew feels the need to defend, so Morris to the outside, can't do anything there. Through Richie's they go. Andrew carries good speed through there on the defensive line, and he's able to get away again, but he locks up a bit, does he? The car tries to break away from him, but no, he's gathered it all together for the Wilson hairpin, and he's still ahead of car number 2. There he is, Richard Morris in 3rd position. Meanwhile, Ryan Yarrow, he actually come down slightly, under 2 seconds. It was almost up at 3 at one point.
Yeah. So, continuing to watch this battle. Up front, by the way, as Morris shows his nose to Danny Andrew, decides not to go through. Up front still, number 11, Josh Smith leading from number 99, Martin Brooks in 2nd, 27, Scott Mattel 3rd, 77, Charles Hill 4th, 7, Julian Griffiths 5th, and Michael Chen number 91 in 6th place. Now, so you've not really missed too much while we've been focusing on this battle for 2nd place within the Sports 1000 class, and the Mattel trying to keep the spire of Richard Morris at bay. Through the left hand they go at Morris, and sweeping back out onto the centre straight, start and finish straight. And Morris, I think, here is going to try and drag alongside Danny Andrew, and the two of them are pretty much alongside one another as they cross the line that time and head up towards Richard's corner. But Morris is going to be on the outside line. Andrew's been doing this quite a long time now in Sports 1000 and in low cost before that, and he was wise to what Morris was trying to do, and he holds on to the place.
I think we see Andrew out again tomorrow, don't we, in the Mazda 7 series. So he's got a busy weekend of it. Out in the Mattel for this race, though, and he's holding off Richard Morris well at the moment. Just in front of them, Ryan Yarrow's cleared another Bikesports car. That's the car of Doug Carter. Meanwhile, up front, Josh Smith's lead is being eroded by Martin Brooks. 1.3 seconds. Brooks going well, going on for Josh Smith.
Yeah, what have we had? Just about half of the race gone. Oh my goodness, this is a busy piece of the circuit, isn't it? We've got Carl Austin is in there. You've also got the number 99 car.
That's Martin Brooks.
In there as well, which is Martin Brooks, of course, because he's trying to do some lappery.
It looked like Scott Mattel was getting close to him, so I wonder if that's why Smith lost some time up front. He was going through that traffic. Now it's a turn of Brooks and Mattel.
Now, Paul Wilson's about to be lapped by, well, he has been lapped, by Tom said it, by the 2nd and 3rd place cars in class, obviously, the Sports 1000 part of the race. Now, how far ahead is Yarrow now? Still about 2 seconds ahead, isn't he, of Andrew and Morris. I'm just looking to see if that's gone out at all on that lap. It has gone out by another half a second. So you would sense here that Ryan Yarrow is probably a little bit more comfortable than he was. But Andrew, in 2nd place within the Sports 1000, certainly is not comfortable because he's got Morris all over the back of him. A bit further back, you've got Victor Newman there, and that's the 6th car of Robert Gilman as well. So this is 4th position for 17th and 18th position overall. Just lapping the Paul Wilson spire as well. Oh, now Morris is having a go. He's had a go and he's gone through this time down the Bentley Straight. So Morris has gone through into 2nd place within the Sports 1000 as well.
Absolutely. And then in the Bikesports category, Josh Smith did lose time. Martin Brooks did lose time going through that traffic and is now 4 seconds behind Josh Smith. So Smith extending his lead in the overall category. There he is. He's about to lap Joe Locke, who looks like he's 5th in the Sports 1000. Josh Smith squeezed through. Oh, and dear, Danny Andrews broken down, and very close Joe Lockwood to running into the back of him as Josh Smith went up the inside. That got a bit frantic, but Danny Andrew out of the race. So is that why Richard Morris could easily pass down the Bentley Straight I don't think Andrew finished the earlier race either, did he?
No.
So real, again, another driver who just gets so much bad luck, it seems.
It does seem that way. He had a couple of wins here last year, didn't he, on this equivalent meeting?
Yeah, I think he won by like 3/4 of a minute in the wet in the opening races. I think Richard Morris went off, and Jimmy Wesmail, he's won poor race when he spun into the gravel in really wet conditions. But yes, Danny Andrew not finishing this race, it would seem.
Just looking at the fastest lap in the Sports 1000, it's a 109.93 at the moment for Josh Smith, about a tenth off what he managed in the earlier race, which was in itself a lap record. He still leads by about 6 seconds from Martin Brooks, Scott Mittell third, Charles Hall fourth.
Richard Morris now charging after Ryan Yarrow. The gap to look out for is 2.8 seconds, so he's chasing him there. Meanwhile, there's the overall leader, the Bikesports leader, Josh Smith, who's nearly 6 seconds clear of Martin Brooks now, who isn't that far ahead of Scott Mittell. So Brooks and Mittell for second is a good battle as we're into the second half of this race now. The half of the race where there's lots of traffic to deal with for the Bikesports leaders. Car 11, Josh Smith, out of Murray, passes that slower car of Charles Langdon down, and he's going after the Sports 1000 leaders that complete lap 10 of their race and are now separated by 2.2 seconds. So immediately now Morris has got some clear road. He's chasing and catching Ryan Yarrow by what, about half a second that time by.
So a sense of deja vu really, because this is what happened in the earlier race as well. There's our race leader then, number 11, Josh Smith, still leading by about 4.5 seconds from Martin Brooks here at Snetterton on the 200 circuit, and looking to get a win in the bag after the disappointment of earlier on when he had to pits after about the first couple of laps of the race. Now there is Ryan Yarrow going through, and there is Richard Morris going through. They're both just ahead of the overall leader. Oh, and the spin for Colin Chapman, number 63 in the foreground, and in the background 21 as well.
That's Phil Hutchins, who went so well here in the wet a year ago.
So he has... I suspect those aren't completely unrelated, those two spins, but it looks like both cars are able to continue. Again, there goes Colin Chapman back out onto the circuit. He has lost a bit of time. Now, there is Richard Morris. Now, he's going to be passed here by the much quicker Josh Smith, who's in a different class, of course. But is Morris getting any closer to Yarrow now? It was about 1.7 seconds, I think. Looking to see if the screen's updated itself.
I think it's 1.7 now.
Yeah,
I think it was at 2.5 before.
Right, okay. So it's getting a little bit closer, but there's now a couple of, well, one quicker and one slower radical ahead of Richard Morris is Spire.
It's Doug Carter that could potentially cause Morris a problem. He's got a past Carter. Carter is seeing go really well in selective racing. Sort of yo-yos up the field a bit, doesn't he, Doug Carter? But not such a good day for him here at Snetterton. I think it was Silverstone last year. He was up in the top 5.
Yeah, Josh Smith's now cleared Ryan Yarrow as well, Rundle and Nelson. So you've got the two leaders in shot together. In the Bikesports part of the race, Josh Smith. In the Sports 1000 part of the race, it's Ryan Yarrow at the moment.
Victor Newman being caught quite rapidly by Joe Locke for third within Sports 1000. Third place, as I say, within that category. So that could be one to watch out for, whether Joe Locke can get himself onto the podium. Not sure if he's still funding his Club Enduro campaign that he originally planned for this year, or as a change to this Sports 1000 Championship. A spin there for Michael Chen. Sorry, not Michael.
Richard Wells.
Richard Wells,
yeah,
who was behind Michael Chen, but he's lost a few places since then. 9th now well, he was 9th. Wells. He's going to drop more positions after that rotation. There's Charles Hall in 4th position in the Spire Bikesports spec car. There's Victor Newman. He's 3 seconds ahead of Joe Locke. There's Locke in 4th position within the Sports 1000 category.
Might even be a bit less than 3 seconds.
And Michael Roots is 5th, isn't he? And Cole Austin going well in 6th.
Yeah, another driver who retired earlier on, so good to see that he's been able to bounce back in race number 2. So there's the Strasbourg driver, Victor Neumann, all the way down Bentley Straight. There's number 77, Charles Hall. And number 16 behind him is Andrew Gord, who's a lap down on him. There's Josh Smith. Oh, is that Wells going slowly again? Back there, Josh Smith flashed through. Now he's going to come through to complete his 14th lap here, so I think it's probably going to be 3 laps to go, because it was a 17 lap race last time out. and there's just over 3 minutes, 3.25 minutes to go. So yeah, that probably sounds about right.
Spires in the S1000 class are closer, aren't they? As Richard Morris gets closer to Ryan Yarrow. He's got Doug Carter trying to pass him, and Scott Mattel's in there too. So what can Richard Morris make of this? Well, Yarrow's got away again. Then Mattel up the inside of Carter, and Morris is going to try and follow him through here. So this is a position on the road, and Morris gets it, and that gives him clear run towards Ryan Yarrow, who's just ahead of him.
Yeah, so the 2015 Sports 1000 champion Scott Mattel in third place in the Bikesports here. He has sort of now lapped Yarrow, so it's really a straight fight now between Yarrow and Morris, and they are pretty much nose to tail with 2 laps to go, as suggested at the end of this one. So it's set up nicely for an exciting finish to this Sports 1000 race. And I do wonder, was a spin for Julian Griffith, number 7, who was in 5th place, but he quickly gets that turned around and he's back on his way again. That was at Chapman, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he'll lose a place to Michael Chen, who leads Class B once again. They're the S1000 guys, the 2 Spires, and it is Ryan Yarrow leading, and he's being chased by Richard Morris. Morris took his first win in the category this morning. Can Yarrow do similar? Yarrow was on the podium 6 times last year, but they were all 3rd place finishes, so that second earlier was his best result. Can he go one better here? As you say, 2 laps to go.
He's got hard work to do to keep Morris at bay, and he's got to try and be a bit canny if he possibly can, and use some of the Bikesports cars maybe to help protect his advantage. There goes Scott Mattel lapping the Wells car, which has had an instant lap down,
particularly in the last lap.
There's Colin Chapman. He had a spin early on, of course, as well.
Now, but at either side of the circuit, the 2 Spires. Ryan Yarrow in the background defending from Richard Morris.
Let's just have a look if we see in the background. Yeah, still the same order as we're watching Scott Mattel do a bit more lappery in the Sports 1000 class. He's still there in 3rd place behind number 11, Josh Smith, the leader, and number 99, Martin Brooks, in 2nd place.
Now, has Joe Locke got past Victor Newman, though? He saw a glimpse of Newman, and Locke had caught him. Let's take a look here, then. That's Michael Roots, isn't it? Sorry, teammate car.
Black and white jumping turns flag out for somebody. Just looking out of the window to see how close it is in the Sports 1000 battle now as they go on to their last lap. It's about half a second, I would say, to the eye as they head into Rich's corner. We're watching the number 5 car of Roots there, but the race well onto its last lap now. Josh Smith already heading down the Bentley Straight. We'll try and pick up what's going on in the Sports 1000 as well, but it's looking like Josh Smith's going to be good for his first race win of the season here in the RLM Racing Bikesports Championship race. He's 6 seconds clear of race 1 winner Martin Brooks, really, so this might be what we would have seen in the earlier race as well, Josh, had he not have to pit early on.
Absolutely, but good to see he's not sort of dominated like some of the races we did last year. Sort of a sensible gap, isn't it? 5 seconds after a 20-minute race. Josh Smith, top driver and top performance in this race as he accelerates across the line to win the 2nd round of the RLM Racing Bikesports Championship. And it should be Martin Brooks and Scott Mattel to complete the podium. What about in the Sports 1000 category? Which Spire will it be? Ryan Yarrow led by just 0.4 of a second over Richard Morris. Meanwhile, Brooks and Mattel have gone through for 2nd and 3rd overall. We're looking out for those silver Spires, and they should soon be here. And it's Yarrow, isn't it?
Yep, Yarrow then takes his first win in the ZAMP Helmet Sports 1000 Championship. Richard Morris on that last lap seemingly not being able to make too much in the way of inroads on the Rochdale driver, and so a win apiece then at the start of the campaign for the 2 Spire drivers, for Richard Morris and Ryan Yarrow in Sports 1000, and a win apiece for Josh Smith and Martin Brooks in the Bikesports, although of course Smith was way back in the first race with that early pit visit.
And on that last lap, Joe Locke got past Victor Newman, so a good run from the back of the grid from Joe Locke to get P3 there on the very last lap of the race. Let's
give you a quick rundown on how it finished then. The winner was number 11, Josh Smith, in his Radical PR6. Second, number 99, Martin Brooks, another PR6, 4.3 seconds adrift. Third, number 27, Scott Mattel, in the Mattel MC41R. Fourth was 77, Charles Hall in the Spire GT3. Fifth, number 91, Michael Chen in the Radical SR3, winning Class B, I think, as he did in the first race as well. Sixth, number 7, Julian Griffiths in the Radical PR6. Then 7th, 73, Alistair Small. 8th, number 3, Barry Liversidge. 9th, number 44, Andrew Kimpton. And 10th, number 10 was Tony Barwell. In the Sports 1000s, it was a win for number 54, Ryan Yarrow, from number 2, Richard Morris in 2nd. And Joe Locke, number 8 in 3rd place, Victor Newman, 67 in 4th, Michael Roots, 5 in 5th, and Carl Austin, 44, rounded out the top 6. So I think this time we're going to hear from our Sports 1000 winner rather than our Bike Sports winner, so that should be Ryan Yarrow, therefore, as the cars are, I think, starting to make their way towards the pit lane. Indeed, they are making their way into the pit lane. And so in a few moments time we'll head down there to hear from Ryan Yarrow, who I'm sure will be delighted to have got his first race win under the belt, and not a straightforward one either.
Look, he's stopped again.
Well, if that is fuel in both races, it is very tight, isn't it? Where did he get to this time?
Looks like that's the
Chapman
again,
yeah.
You know.
So he got a corner or two further on than he did on the slowing down up in the earlier race.
But I guess a frustrating day really for Charles Hall, because he did drive Aspire, didn't he, at the end of the year last year? I think won a race here at Snetterton in the wet.
He did.
I do wonder if the modification they've made to the cars actually made it quicker or not, because of course we saw Tim Gray win many races in this championship. Maybe not quite as competitive, to be fair, back then.
Yeah.
But it's not been a great day, has it, for Charles Hall? A couple of 4th place finishes where he was a winner last season.
My nephew, who's called Flynn, will be excited to see that car with its sponsor on the side. Anyway, I think we're pretty just about ready now to head down to the pit lane, as it looks like the Sports 1000 winner Ryan Yarrow is being signalled in. So we'll go down once again to Anthony Jordan.
So Ryan, what a race that was. Of course, winning the S1000 class out there must be fantastic for you out there.
Yeah, it's my first win in tricky circumstances. I made an absolute mess of judging the bike sports cars before, and I wasn't going to do it again. And I'm just made up. Really am.
Excellent. I mean, from our perspective, again, it looked like a fantastic race from you. Nice and clean is what we like to see out here, and it looked really fun.
Yeah. I mean, everyone, as far as I'm aware, everyone behaved themselves, and you've got to be decisive, but no contact. I just didn't see any contact anyway, and just fantastic. I'm looking forward to being on my own grid, to be honest, but yeah.
Excellent stuff. Every time I see these cars going around, they look absolutely fantastic. They look so quick, so planted. I mean, just how does it feel to drive?
They're fantastic because there's so much value for money. There's aero, but a lot of it's mechanical grip, so you can feel it, you can play with the car. It doesn't just bite you get some warning. And a lot of some of the best drivers in this club have come from this formula, so I think that says a lot.
Excellent. I mean, just a fantastic win from you. It's great in class, and hope for the best for the rest of the season.
Cheers, thank you.
Not a problem.